This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Hello, everyone, and thanks again for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach and your podcast host. Today, it is just little old me here with you. We're going to talk about one of the kind of key inflection points in our process with clients. It is typically kind of the third time we're speaking to one another, but it is when we are going to have selected the franchises we want to connect you with. What happens on that call, what leads up to that call, but really what happens if one of the ones we've selected for you, you don't like? Cue dramatic music. Dun, dun, dun. What happens? We're going to talk about that in a second. First, quick reminder, as always, of who we are. FranCoach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals like yourself interested in owning a franchise. We're partnered with well over 600 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 70 industries. Our goal is to properly educate you on all aspects of franchise ownership to determine if this is the right path for you, and if so, which is the absolute best franchise for you. So that properly educating you on franchise ownership, determine if it's the path, and if so, which one, really kind of all culminates in the kind of initial phase of that third call. And here, boys and girls, are the 3, maybe 4 franchises we've selected for you. So that's what we are about to talk about. It is not uncommon that there's one of these franchises that I always call it the eye roll franchise, that you're going to kind of, what's this old bald guy doing giving me this one? I don't know anything about that. I don't like that one. I don't want to talk to it. Well, very simply, there's no way I'm the only parent that's ever said, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So it's kind of that, but how do we get there, right? So if we back up for a second in our journey, before we ever start talking about franchises, we're going to have a minimum of 2 phone calls with our clients. First one's a little bit shorter. The second one's usually a good hour of just constantly peppering you with questions. I always kind of say this is the what do you want to be when you grow up portion of the show. There's also a kind of a profile we're going to have people fill out before. So we're going to have tons of information, especially on that second call, is really designed to figure out, like, no kidding, what do you want to be when you grow up? The big thing we always talk about looking at franchises to find the best is that get out of bed test. You're the one that's got to get your butt out of bed every day and go run this business. So we need to make that sucker as ideal as possible. What are you actually really good at? What do you truly enjoy doing? What do you not want to do as an owner? How do we surround you? The sales and the marketing, that customer profile. What's your actual business stand for in the community and with customers? What kind of team, if any, do we have? There's multiple different ways to build out a potential team. We do definitely talk about industry. People always think industry is the driver. It is not. It is on that second call, it's maybe the second least at best thing we're going to talk about. We're still going to discuss it. We need to understand where people's minds are with this. And of course, the financial kind of picture for folks. That all of this that we're going to detail out right? We're going to kind of review it at the end of that second call before we ever start doing the research. We want to make sure you are nodding up and down. Yeah, that's perfect. That sounds exactly what I want. Great. We usually kind of review that at the start of the third call before we ever start talking about these 3 or 4 franchises. Hey, these are the key elements, right? The key elements, the drivers, those foundational pieces are not industry related. They are not industry related. I said that again on purpose, right? Again, we're going to discuss industry. We'll always have a short list of things, like, hey, I don't want anything to do with food, but I really like, this and this and this. Great, right? We're usually based on that conversation, even going to throw a couple other things out. Hey, you didn't mention this, you didn't check this on the profile, but based on everything else, you might be a fit for this category, this niche. What do you think? Right? If there's some openness, then we kind of keep that on the short list, right? So now we're getting to that third call. We're going to review all that again. We're going to go through now the franchises. And again, I can never stress this enough. The franchises will look very different on the surface from one another. Sometimes it's almost laughable how different they are. They're still always going to have those key fundamental pieces of again, why are we doing this? Your role as a franchise owner and the people you're around, staff, customers, community, and within the franchise brand. That's what matters. That's what's going to find the match, right? So we're going to review that, make sure we're good. But it is pretty common. There is at least one franchise that you're like, ugh, right? So now what? What if you don't like it? Do we just cross it off the list? No is the short answer. I can count on one hand in 10 years where somebody has given me a reason they don't want to look at it, and I thought it was valid. And I can really only think of 2 off the top of my head. One, they're the person's neighbor, like next door neighbor, really good friends, had a business that was in that niche, right? Okay, well, that might get a little ugly at in the neighborhood. So let's stay away from that. Another one is literally a family member owned. It's kind of the same thing, right? It was husband and wife. The wife's brother had a business in that niche. It just didn't happen to come up in our previous calls. But again, that's a really awkward Thanksgiving and Christmas when all of a sudden, here's these 2, kind of people competing in the same neighborhood, essentially in the same family for the same niche business. Not a good fit, right? Those are really, really legit reasons. Because I don't know anything about it, because I'm going to try to pick it apart, because I've never heard of it, because it's all crap, right? But we have to kind of like, how do we know that, right? So we have to, again, go back to a few things. One, to a certain extent, our goal is to think we're a little crazy with one of the brands, right? Not that it's purposely a horrible fit, right? If you say, as we're building this out on the second call, man, I just hate dogs. Can't stand those things. Try to run them over when I'm driving down the road if I see one, right? And then we show you a dog franchise, right? That's not what we mean, right? We want to kind of expand the mind a little bit on some things, right? It's really our goal is to get you out of your comfort zone with this. And that, folks, is not comfortable, right? But if you wanted comfortable, if you always wanted to do exactly what you've always done, guess what, folks? You wouldn't be on the phone with us, right? But there is something missing for you in your work-life balance, your personal life, your professional life. There's something missing there that has you going through this exploration, right? So have that open mind, expand your view of what is next, because it's not going to be what you've always done, right? Again, what's that get out of bed test, right? So as we go back into this, what got you here in the first place? What did we really identify as things you're good at every single day, right? The people you're around in your business, your staff, your customers, your community, right? And then the franchisor, that connection, their people, their culture, their support. Those are the hidden things that nobody ever thinks about. But the 3 top things in finding a franchise, your get out of bed test, the people, again, staff, customers, community, and that franchise, the connection you have with them, right? So there may be one that's kind of an eye roll. It's because of, hey, it's hitting the things you want to do. It really can tap into the kind of people you want to be around. And there's something about this franchise that I think really might align with you that could really open your eyes to, oh, this wasn't what anybody else in that franchise thought of. Maybe it was everybody's eye roll franchise, and here they are happy and rolling along successful, right? So again, you have to kind of have that open mind. But then even then, it's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Here's 3 franchises, right? And so we may say at the end of that call, hey, pretty common for us to say, all right, rank them. Hey, Bob, here's your 3 franchises. We've given you a fraction of 1% of everything you're ultimately going to learn. But what do you think? Give me your ranking. You're doing it in your head. Let's chat about it. Well, I like this one first, this one second. Man, I don't know about this one. This might be like 10th, right? And literally had somebody do that one time. 1, 2, 10. Like, not sure where we're on the math skills there, brother, but whatever, right? So, okay, so what's the worst that happens, right? About having a call with that brand. Our number one goal in our process, we say it at the beginning of every podcast, we say it to every single person we talk to. Number one goal is to help you get properly educated on franchise ownership to determine if this is the path. So the worst that's going to happen, you talk to that eye roll franchise, you are going to learn something about franchise ownership, right? I don't care what you talk about on that call with that brand. Yes, you're going to learn brand specific things, but you're learning something basic about franchising, right? Something about the type of people, the support, whatever it might be. And maybe, just maybe, you kind of hear that and go, maybe I want to learn a little bit more, right? Great. Let's keep trucking along. Again, the worst that's going to happen is maybe what we learn does solidify that was the least accurate of the 3 that we're showing. But because we're looking at things that have differences, right? Things to compare and contrast, it is going to then help solidify, okay, well, these 1 and 2, they were pretty close. This one really was 10. Okay, well, now we know for sure it is. And the differences about 1 and 2, now we even get a little bit more excited about. But again, maybe it really is the thing. Hey, everyone, I want to take a moment to spotlight one of our premier franchise partners, eVive Brands. eVive is actually a community of 4 brands founded on the idea of helping people live and thrive no matter what life throws their way. All of eVive's brands offer prospective franchise owners the opportunity to become trusted providers in their local community. Let's take a look at the brands. Number 1 is Executive Home Care, which is one of the nation's leading in-home senior care providers. Number 2 is Assisted Living Locators, which is a senior placement and referral franchise. Then we have Grayson's Estate Sales, and they stand out as a trusted name in estate sales and liquidation services. And finally, the Brothers Who Just Do Gutters, which has expertise in, wait for it, gutters, the installation, replacement, maintenance, and cleaning for both residential and commercial properties. With the incredible support that eVive Brands offers their franchisees, you cannot go wrong with any of these choices. As always, FranCoach is here to help you determine which franchise is your best match, so reach out today to create your better tomorrow. So, kind of give you a couple examples. We had somebody a few years ago, and I don't know if he knows this, but we reference him. I do anyway, personally, all the time, because he threw a hissy fit on call 3 about one of them. And this was one we had. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4 brands. At that point, we did 4 with this guy, and he very legit went, I ranked this one number 1, this one number 2, this one 3, this one 10. I don't see it. And I said, I don't care, right? So get on the phone. And so as typically in our process, once you start talking to the franchises, we have kind of almost weekly update calls with you to help navigate that discovery process. Again, it's 6 to 8 weeks, a dozen or more steps. There's a ton of information, right? And if you're all of a sudden having first calls with 3 or 4 franchises, That's a lot of info, right? Let alone when we're on call 5, 6, 7, right? So we're having the update call. He's telling me about the first three. We get to the one that he ranked 10th out of 4, right? Um, and he was struggling, right? But some of the things he was complaining about the brand, oh, my concern is this, my concern is that, he was just flat wrong, right? But he still was in that negative mindset of almost like kind of proving that it wasn't the right fit versus being open to maybe it was. And so later that day, he had scheduled his second call with that particular brand. And I'm just like, look, I don't care for our team. We don't care what franchise people are going to start. It's our job to help you figure out if you should. And then if so, what's the best one? I don't care which one, but I'm here to help make sure you're not missing anything. I'm here to make sure you're not messing anything up. And he was both, right? And so I'm like, look, I think some of the things you're talking about, I don't think it's accurate. I think it's worth having that next phone call with them. It's later today. What's like, again, like if it's you have that call and it's still just terrible, right? Like call me. We made a little friendly kind of wager on the thing. And um so reluctantly he has the call, but I'm like, look, it doesn't matter if you're going to just be assume everything is negative. Be open-minded to it. Maybe it's not the right fit, but at least you've done it with an open mind and now we point the other direction. So I get an email a few hours later after the call, like basically I won the bet. And so ultimately that was the franchise he ended up starting. He was, and it was a home service brand. About 3 months into being open, he was already rolling so much he went back and bought a second territory. It's also a franchise that has a parent company with multiple brands. And now he owns 2 territories of a second brand. So kudos to him for having that openness of really kind of getting out of his comfort zone, like not just like assuming all these negative things based on kind of his perception of what that business was and really being open to it. Right now, it turned out that way. Even had it hadn't, and he'd gone into that next call with an open mind, now he can able to. Now he's going to be able to learn things to redirect as needed. We had somebody else here recently that a specific industry, he was just adamant against this one particular industry category, and we kind of talked about why, and some of his whys actually made sense to it, and I think, and he and I actually had some agreement on kind of our personal view of that particular industry. But there was a franchise that on the surface looked like it was in that industry, but really had that same view, right? And so reluctantly, he got on the phone with them, and kind of the second call, but was really kind of leaning somewhere else, got a little deeper, got into talking to owners, and the next thing you know, like ding, like it was all of a sudden he got it. He got to talk to enough people in that brand. It wasn't just one person, it wasn't that Fran Dev person, and you to try to get you to buy the franchise. People think that happens sometimes, but he got to talk to, all of a sudden he's talked to 4 or 5 people and some of the owners, and everybody had the same vision, the same alignment, right? The same view of this other kind of side of that industry, and poof, there it was, right? So again, it was total eye roll at the beginning, and a pretty visceral reaction to that industry, but it actually ended up being the right fit because he had that open mind, right? So when you're going through this journey with our team, just remember, one, like by design, there's really gonna be one that may stand out as like, I don't know, right? So it's not so much if this happens, a lot of times it's when, right, that happens. I always want people to kind of remember back to some things. Why are you even on this journey? Why are we looking at franchise ownership, right? More control over everything, right? Freedom, flexibility, schedule, the decisions that are be making, your hard work, going for you versus somebody else, right? I don't know if anybody that sounds like, yeah, I want that too, right? And then also, what's the number one goal in this process? Properly educate you on franchise ownership. So any conversation that is educating you on something new, there's no way that is a waste of time, right? Then what all did we talk about leading up to this call, right? Hey, these are the things we use for the research. Bam, 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 bam. Did you nod up and down? If so, then those were the things that were being used in these franchises, even if you don't necessarily see it, right? Now, if you lied your ass off on the calls leading up to this, right? Oh man, I love sales. I love cold calling. I might be the best cold call person ever. There's never been anybody as good as that as me. And really, you're like, I hate cold calling, right? So all of a sudden we show up with cold call franchises, and I'm being a little extreme here. Well, yeah, those are a bad fit because you lied, right? So again, really, this is all about you for this, right? And then usually, as we're kind of explaining these franchises, there is a little bit of the why to it. Hey, because you like X, Y, and Z, might be a little hidden. This franchise really focuses on that, right? The franchise doesn't focus on, we need somebody with this industry experience. We need them to have these type of intangibles. Us knowing the people in that franchise, maybe there's huge synergy just in that, and that can really matter, right? And then again, I always kind of want people to remind themselves of a couple things. So almost everyone we work with that starts a franchise, they do so. It is in an industry that they have little to no experience in. That franchise that they end up owning was something that was not on their radar prior to us working together. And oftentimes that franchise is something they did not even know existed. That takes some open mind to be able to just fathom that is possible, especially as the longer we've been in the job world and the corporate world. It's like we can kind of get defined by that, right? So it really is truly, I mean, it's cheesy when I say it, I know, but have that open mind. Be ready and willing to get outside of your comfort zone a little bit and view things from a different perspective. Again, is this the right path for you? Getting out of that comfort zone, viewing things from a different perspective may actually drive you right back to, you know what? I am better having a job. Awesome. Good for you, right? That's the goal of this. The only way we're going to truly find that best thing for you is to have kind of that mindset. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchise market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
So when you get through the process with our team and we get into that third call and like, all right there, Bob, here's your 3 franchises. Here's number 1, blah, blah, blah. Here's 2, here's 3. And you're like, 1 and 3. Okay. That's the second one. Man, I don't know what you were thinking. Well, what I was thinking was you like this, this, and this. This franchise has that. Here's some alignment with whatever with the franchisor. Like, talk to them. Learn something new. Talk to somebody new. You're going to talk to people. These franchises that have been in the industry forever, right? It's a wealth of knowledge again to be able to gain. So all you're out is, quote, 45 minutes on that first call when I really didn't think it was any good. Maybe it's not the best fit, but you're going to gather intel that's going to help determine should you own one. And if so, maybe let's really focus more on these other two. Have that open mind. This journey is amazing and the end result can be fantastic where you do hit all of those whys, right? Of control, freedom, flexibility, controlling your schedule, exactly what you're doing every single day, making the decisions that you feel right to grow the business, building wealth, equity, all of these fun things. It's all in your hands with this. So that's a little bit about that third call, and you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, basically. So that's that for today. As you hear this and learn a little bit more about our process, if you're ready to chat, FranCoach.net. Our podcast site is franchising101podcast.net. Again, our team is FranCoach. You're always going to get somebody, if it's not me, somebody they're telling you they're FranCoach. Again, there's some imposters out there, folks. Like it's sad and it's awful, but that does happen in everything. So just buyer beware, make sure you're with our FranCoach team, and we're going to help you with things just like this to figure this out. Okay. The other thing I want to tell you before you go, don't leave yet. So next, we mentioned this a little bit last week. So next Friday is August 30th, if you're listening to this kind of live, but next Friday, August 30th, 2024, FranCoach is launching their very first TV show, and really first of its kind, a TV show about franchising. We're one of the OGs with the podcast, but oh my God, everybody and their damn brother now like, oh, I got a franchise podcast. Good for you. They ain't got a TV show. That's us. So our new TV show is called the Franchising 360 Show. Franchising 360 is going to take a more holistic view of the world of franchising, thus the 360. See what we did there? We are definitely going to talk about some of the same things we talk about here from a standpoint of becoming a franchise owner, but we're also going to dive a little bit more into the life of a franchise owner and even what it is like to become a franchisor. So tons of great things. And don't worry, the Franchising 101 podcast, we're not going anywhere. We're still going to come to you with episodes every Thursday. So you always got something to look forward to. The Franchising 360 show is going to air on the Biz TV network, which Biz TV is a channel with exclusive content for current and future business owners. What great synergy. You can download the Biz TV app, as well as it is syndicated on literally hundreds of channels around the country. Plus, you can kind of go old school, watch it online, biztv.com. Franchising 360 show will air every Friday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. The first episode is coming next Friday, August 30th. Just gave me a little anxiety. Holy hell, I hope we're ready for this. So tune in. It's me. Got plenty of guests. Next week, we're going to give you a little more dive into what this show is going to look like. Frankly, because hopefully by then we've got it figured out. So be ready to check that out. In the meantime, FranCoach.net, reach out to us. There's never any fee for our service. Let us help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Talk with you next week.